What's up, everybody? Justin here. We are back for more CD collection. I'm hoping that everybody's liking the new format. So we are almost through the D's. We got a few more CDs to go, and let's get into them. First, we are listening to Abjuration with The Unquenchable Pyre. I've had this tape for a few years. Don't know anything about them. I had several of these that I got in a trade, and I eventually sold them all through my distro, and I've kept one. And I always thought that it was like religious black metal or orthodox black metal, kind of Watani or Afromod black metal. But it's like it's a pretty solid doom death record. But it's just got that kind of like orthodox black metal layout to it. But I looked them up. It's the only thing they ever did. Came out in 2015. And I think it came out on LP semi-recently. But this is fucking good. I really like them. Let's do it a lot more. So, into the CDs. First, we have Debodified with Utopia in the Eyes of a Beast. This is just really kind of terrible, brutal death metal. This came out on Comatose Music. Who have released some really, really good stuff. They're a brutal death metal label out of North Carolina. But this is just kind of, it's very generic sounding, and it doesn't sound real good. It's got really terrible, muffled vocals. Like, the guy, I don't know, it's just not good, man. And it's got really shitty, like, poorly photoshopped artwork. It's just bad. It's just not good. It's just not a good CD. So, is what it is. On the opposite end of that spectrum, we have Delusional Parasitosis with Ingurgitating Intestinal Rot. This is one of the better brutal death metal albums of the past couple of years. It's really, really heavy. It's really thick. It's really hollow sounding. Lots of pentaharmonics. Lots of, you know, it's got a high snare. It's got all the things that make brutal death metal brutal death metal. It's got killer artwork, killer logo. It's just fucking gross, man. It's just a good, just gross, guttural, brutal death metal record. Highly recommended if you like that kind of stuff. Next, I have two, and only two, Dimmu Borgir CDs. So first I have For All Tid, their first one. And I have Puritanical Euphoric Misanthropia, which is the first one I bought. Now, I used to have the one that came before this one, and I can't remember the fucking name of it now, but the first song is Reptile. I had a really nice Spiritual Black Dimensions, Spiritual Black Enslavement, something like that. I bought that on Digipack when I saw them. I saw Dimmu Borgir on this tour in 2001 here in Atlanta, and I believe it was their first American tour. And I remember it was cool. They played the Old Masquerade, and Nick Barker set up his drum kit on the side of the stage facing the rest of the band instead of in the back facing the crowd. It was pretty neat. And they were really good. I really, really liked this album when it came out. It was my introduction to the band. I had read about them a bunch through the late 90s. This came out in 2001. And it was at the time as extreme as this kind of black metal got. I mean, it was uncomparingly fast, technical, lots of synth, lots of structure to the songs. But as far as like shiny pants, shiny leather pants, dress up, black metal, this record is kind of the pinnacle of that. And this is the last record they did before they became the Warped Tour Ozfest band that they became. After this one, I completely lost interest. Now, they have a new one that just got announced, and I've heard a couple of reports that it's kind of really good, but I have not listened to a Dimmu Borgir song off of anything past this in years. I sold the other records I had in an eBay CD purge one day, but I kept this one because it was nostalgic for me. And then I kept For All Tid because it's really good. For All Tid was definitely before they became what they are. It's just a good kind of folky, Scandinavian sounding black metal record with keyboards. It's all in Norwegian. I think I bought this at the same show, because until that show I only owned the other one. And I'll still listen to this a couple times a year. I'll throw it on. It's definitely like this band and this album are part of what built black metal, at least in the way I perceive it, the way I listen to it. But it's good. It's good for what they do. It definitely has a place in the black metal mythology. So you will. Next, we have a very personal favorite of mine. I could do a 5-minute favorites on this one. Dinosaur Jr. Without a Sound. So, I'm a big Dinosaur Jr. fan. This is the only album I own. I'm pretty familiar with the rest of their stuff, though. I got on a big Dino Jr. kick a couple years ago and listened to everything online for weeks. All I would listen to was Dinosaur Jr. And I watched a bunch of live shows. And for those of you that don't know, Dinosaur Jr. is an alternative rock band. They've been around since the 80s. They're real guitar heavy. Jay Mascis, the guitarist singer, he's a legendary guitar player. He has such a unique sound. There's a cool video, I'll try to find it and link it, where he talks about how he uses he stacks like 3 fuzz pedals on top of each other and then plays through 3 full stacks when he plays, and he kind of puts them in a semicircle around him. It's just this wall of this fuzzy tone. His guitar playing is unmistakable. You can hear it. You know that Jay Mascis is playing guitar. And he has this very, very lazy kind of drawl when he sings. This record was kind of their, like, commercial record. And the song Feel the Pain was all over MTV for a little bit in, like, 1994. And they are very, very connected to kind of the skateboarding punk rock scene. But I picked this up. I loved that song. I'd heard it ever since I was a teenager. And I picked this up at like a pawn shop or something one day for a couple of bucks. I've had it for years. I've probably had it for 20 years. I love Dino Jr. They're one of those bands that I want the rest of their stuff, but unless I see it in front of me to buy, I'm not going to go out of my way to buy it. But they're really, this is an awesome record. I may do a 5-minute favorites on it, but I've talked about it about that long right now, so we'll see. Next, we have, I'm going to try to pronounce this, diphenyl chlorosine. Diphenyl chlorazine. This is the heaviest slam record ever recorded. This is post-apocalyptic human annihilation. This is just a breakdown across 10 songs. There is no denying, there is no hiding the fact that this is just a slam record. But it's not Wigger slam, it's not gauged ears, slam. It's fucking gross, It's really, really well done, but it is so just relentlessly fucking heavy. It's good. I heard this on YouTube and had to buy it. But they're from Russia or something, Germany, somewhere that has one of those really, really healthy slam scenes. But it's good. It's good. It is a guilty pleasure by all means, but man, it's good for that kind of stuff. Then we've got another sealed CD from the giant trade I talk about in every video. This is Disengaged with the Ocean. It's probably brutal of some sort. This came out on Not Common Records. Never heard of it. I don't know, but they have a song on here called Decomposing Pile of Ex-Girlfriends. That gives you any indication what that may sound like. I'll find the link for us. Likewise, there's another sealed one from that giant trade. This is Disciples of Berkowitz. This is the Chronicles, 95 to 2007. I believe this is everything they ever did. I'm not positive about that. Or it's everything they did in that time period. And they're a brutal death metal band. They've got kind of that mid-90s brutal death metal sound where it's not super technical, like something like Malignancy or Guttles or Crete, but it's more in the line of like Lividity or Deaden. But I listened to a couple of samples of this before I recorded this video, and it's definitely something I would like. I need to open this up and spin it. So next, we have a really, 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 really awesome album. This is Disciples of Mockery, Prelude to Apocalypse. I bought this at Ultrasound Records in Cleveland, Ohio. They are no longer around, unfortunately. So, Disciples of Mockery is 3 members of the Onward to Golgotha incantation lineup, basically playing incantation worship. I was very familiar with this album before I ever bought it. I bought it at Ultrasound in 2008, but I had a download of it for years before that. It's Craig Pillard, Ronnie Dio, Jim Rowe, and another guy named Mike playing the same kind of style that incantation had popularized. And this came out 97, 99. And it's a little more like esoteric sounding. It's a little more bleak sounding than incantation. It's not as in your face as incantation. But it is definitely like, if there was ever a sister album to Onward to Golgotha, it's Prelude to Apocalypse. It is just, it's untouchable. Now this is a re-release version that Roy did with Necroharmonic. Shout out to Roy. He released this on vinyl a couple of years ago. Pick it up if you ever see it. It's great. Now this version on the red jewel case was the original band released version. They self-released this themselves in '99, and it came in these red jewel cases. And after I bought the other copy, Craig Pillard apparently found a couple boxes of these that had never been sold, and he sold them, and I picked one up for $10, which is awesome. And this version is very simple. There's no lyrics. There's no nothing fancy. Just a basic band-released version. The Necroharmonic version has a couple of live tracks on it. No, it has some, it's the split with Womb. Some split tracks. The only things I ever did was this album and the split with Womb. But if you are not familiar with Disciples of Mockery and you like that kind of death metal, you need to get on that. I think it's still pretty semi-easy to find. Next, we have Dis for Terror with Impalement and Holocaust Stench. This came out on Nuclear War Now about 10 years ago, and it is really, really chaotic kind of war death metal. It's not as black metal sounding as that kind of stuff usually is, like Conqueror or Blasphemy. It's definitely more death metal tinged. It's really thick, but it's good. This band has got a bunch of demos and splits and EPs. I've never done a full length, but this is kind of the main thing they are known for, and it's good. It's I think technically it's an EP. It also came out on 10-inch, but they're a good band if you like that kind of stuff. This is one of those that I'll get on a kick of listening to that style of war metal, or just chaotic black metal, and I'll throw that in the stack. So next, we have another sealed CD from the Giant Trade. This is Disinterment with Graveyard Fornication. It's also just kind of generic, like early 2000s brutal death metal. It's not as brutal as something like Delusional Parasitosis. It's not as technical or slammy. Definitely more Midwest sounding. I'm not sure where they're from, but this is still sealed. I listened to a sample online before I recorded this, and eventually I'll open this up and throw it in, spin the whole thing. So last, this is a good one. This is Disentomb with Misery. So Disentomb are a brutal death metal band from Australia, and this is their second record. I don't have their first one, but this is one of the best and most original brutal death metal records ever. Like, when it comes to brutal death metal, my favorite brutal death metal record of all time is Guttural Secrete's Recupubescent Despoilment. And this is right fucking behind it. The cool thing about Disentomb, though, is they have this strong anti-religion stance. They're not real, like, gory or porno slam or pathologic type stuff. It's all very rooted in religious metaphor and anti-humanity and anti-Christianity. But it is just uncompromisingly heavy, and it's technical as fuck, and it's doomy. They've kind of coined this term slooms, so it's slam and doom, which of course it's silly, but it makes total sense if you listen to it. But this record is just absolutely fucking untouchable. They played here in the States a couple years ago. I missed it. I had to work. It was one of those. But they're coming back sooner or later, and I'm going to catch them. And hopefully they're going to have a new one soon, and I hope that it's half as good as this one. But Disentomb, Misery, cannot recommend it enough. It's probably my second favorite out of this stack this round. It fucking crushes. So that's it. I thought this stack would take longer. I'm really enjoying this. So remember, Abjuration, Unquenchable Pyre. This shit rules. I'm definitely going to listen to this a lot more. I got some more 5-minute favorites coming. I've got a little stack of new stuff to go through I'll talk to you about soon. Keep commenting, keep liking, keep subscribing, telling your friends. And I got more CDs coming. I got more stuff coming. So I'll talk to everybody else soon.